All right, Grand Rising, everyone. It's Shalonda, and I am back with another video really quick. I just want to make, oh my goodness, right? I was just sitting here reflecting, right? I like to go off with sources messaging to me what I hear, what I see, what I know, what I feel, what I sense. And I could just tell you one thing, I want to just take an aerial view and look at all of this from above. Because these matters, it's nice to say, again, we should just mind our business or we should just look at things in one way. But when we're talking about multitudes of people and movement and things like that on the plane, people need to be aware of what's going on. This is how whole so-called races or groups of people get eliminated, wiped out, displaced. We're definitely dealing with some form of exile here. We're definitely dealing with some type of trail of tears energy here. We have been dealing with it for a very long time now. Now, this is no offense to any group because I have no hate in my heart and I don't discriminate at all against anyone. That's just my disclaimer. I am looking at this, like I said, with my mind's eye from an aerial view. And I just don't like the way, that certain media platforms have the right to use their power to influence negative opinions on, so-called energies when it comes to, seers, oracles, so-called whistleblowers, so-called conspiracy theorists. In my eyes, conspiracy theory can also mean it is basically the new truth. These are thinkers. These are people that dedicate their lives and go out there and put themselves on the chopping block every day to access information and share that information with people that should just no one, like I said, I don't know any well, I won't say that, okay? I have not run across anyone that is radical, although mass energies, right, or hierarchies will try to do a little bit of spell work when it comes to the spelling of things and what these words actually mean in order to give a false perception or narrative of these people as if they cannot be trusted, mentally ill, all of these things. Most of these people are a lot of people that I see put their time and dedicate their time into figuring out things in order to save or help people see are very intelligent. They may not present it in a professional, well, you know, when it comes to the type of words that they use or their appearance and everything may not be so pristine, but that none of that has to do with the truth. It just doesn't. So I'm just wanting to just take a little trip down memory lane and look at a couple of things. Okay. To see why we want to examine this to see why it has occurred the way it's occurred over time. So we have those who have been presiding right in office, right, that have been in and out, and during this whole time we have been dealing with drug wars and all of these other things when it comes to the so-called Mexican border, right? So, but I'm just telling you, I'm not saying that that's what these people are. I'm saying what you hear and how they're described in the headlines and on mass media and news. They present them as, we've had problems with cartels, mafia energy. We've had all types of problems again when it comes to the Mexican border, right? Now, for some reason, though, at one point in time, it took a turn, and they spoke about it in the media as if these are migrant workers, right? Okay. So it went from cartels and everything. That stuff has always still been going on for decades, right? But at one point in time, we just started to look at it as migrant workers. I think when it came to South America and those people were coming up, I believe it was like last year or the year before, they looked at them as also like seeking asylum or some kind of energy like that. Like they were in danger from the cartels and things like that. And so they needed a place to go. And then they came up to the border. We noticed that, they gave us the perception of them putting people in cages and stuff like that, which is disgusting in its own right. To think that people should be housed like that, because we've had enough time and decades to figure out a system or some type of place where some of these people can be held. And I don't mean to be tracked in a sense, right? but these people could be housed. That's because held is not a good term either. Okay, where these people could be held if this is the case, and until they figure out, and I don't know what it is to do. I don't know. You see what I'm saying? I don't know what it is to do. I mean, people, although society might look at people as cattle, I don't necessarily look at people as cattle, but the way that we're moving, the frequency or the movement of this construct that's in place right now, it's hard to say, hey, people should just be free, but the whole construct is set up against us being so-called free. Do you see what I'm saying? Okay. So then you have communities worried about taxes going up and school and all this other stuff, schools being overcrowded because a lot of people are being accepted in and somebody has to pay the taxes and somebody had to pay. And a lot of these people come in and they work together and they don't have to like be charged or paid taxes like regular Americans. Again, so it's always going to be that conflict of that when it comes to that type of balance. But I'm just saying, just to take a look at it and see how then we went to a point where it came into the nothing coming through and spreading, right? And then we started to worry about ICE deporting people, but we're still at the same time not securing the border. Now I'm talking about the physical border, right? I'm not talking about spiritual. We're talking about physical right now. So, not protecting the border in that sense, right? But we're worried about they were going after certain individuals in order to deport, right? People that have been here for a long time, been following laws, haven't broken laws, have families and everything. They were splitting families up and taking people supposedly. Now, all of this is allegedly because it's just what we hear on the media. And we know everything that you hear on the media is not always the truth. And again, sometimes it is just give us a false perception or notion of something else that's going on that might be on a deeper level that some of these people feel like we can't comprehend. And so they choose not to share it with us. They choose to tell us one thing when something else is going on. And that's the most dangerous part of this at all, that I think in a nutshell. Okay. So let's move on. So we have the Afghans so-called coming in. Now, if Afghan, right, is talking about, hold on one second. Okay. Because I'm always trying to get it straight and trying to look at it at different levels of things, right? So we brought this term back up here, Afghanistan, right? So it says in journalism, very specific, 1798 was, so this would have had to do with headlines and things like that at that time, right? But again, always what people say on the headlines is not always what it is. And that's what that's the difference between these people that want to control and manipulate and mold minds and then the people that are having it done to them, right? Because I think when we talk about Afghan, it says something about a sheep coat or something about a sheep's coat or a covering or something like that. So again, it almost makes me think about a wolf in sheep's clothing. It also gives me that Trojan horse kind of energy as to what is really being brought in, right? It's cloaked. Oh, I was going to use that term earlier about something cloaked. So again, this energy is this cloaked. Are we talking about Americans, right? That are being looked at as what it says here, preoccupation with far away problems and issues to the neglect of local ones. So again, does this have something to do with having many, many different Americans, so-called origine Americans that may have a status of African American or Black, which are deemed to be misnomers that are that a local problem has been neglected, possibly your status, which leaves you in the hands or to the point where you can be scattered, like the president said, right? When it comes to all of these other nations, right, that want to get their hands on said Americans, whether it be for servitude or for some kind of service or some kind of I even want to say to form them or to create or to even examine them or just for any reason, even to reap benefits from, whether it comes from land or when it comes to the medical industry in your that which is inside of your vassal. Do you see what I'm saying? the souls of the people, what are we really talking about here? So again, we could look at it in two different areas. They show, when we think about Afghans, we see certain people that have turbans and certain face coverings and things like this. And what media over time has programmed us to see these people is as someone that you should be worried about, that they may have a bomb or something. This is not what I think. Again, this is what the education that we have received has deemed these people. So we have a certain perception, right? That may not be the case at all, because we still need to be able to look at the individuals and see who they are, right? And what they really represent. But that's not the case, because they do it when we're in a time of fear. This was at a time when you were watching the media and there was those red alerts there telling you how afraid you should be every single day since so-called 9/11. So this is just me taking a look. We're just taking a look down memory lane. So that embedded something. It embedded fear of Americans when we are the most least attacked country, really, when it comes to physical attacks in the world. Okay, some people see that this was an inside job and it was governing forces of some sort that had something to do with this, right? All right, there's arguments of that. I'm not saying that. There's an argument that that was the case, that it was a so-called inside job. People used their brains and they got information and facts together, and this is what they thought. Okay, so again, we were on this alert and threat. I mean, I'm just trying to see if we remember, because we as Americans, I think we failed to remember stuff that happened 3 weeks ago. We go in a direction where media and entertainment and everything leads us, and so we don't even really understand. You see, we like the soft truth. We don't like to go down deep and dig down and see what we're really talking about. We like things that sound good, right? A lot of us like to blame things on other nations or other races or other countries or whatever, or once people start bringing the truth, is because people don't want to do the work within themselves. They don't want to do the work when it comes to digging deeper. They just want to sound good and look good and be accepted by everybody. And so they just see, because we can go deep here. And this is maybe why some of us are not liked. So it's not really about the information. A lot of people just they can't handle the truth. So we'll just keep piling up poop on top of layer on top of layer. And it's just, and that's what I'm saying. I just don't, you see, and this is why I don't respect a lot of things. This is why Source sent some of us here. So again, it depends on what we're talking about. Are we talking about Afghanistans or Afghanistanian people, or the Afghans that they're talking about as it pertains to when it's talking about this term right here? Or are we talking about, which is what it really is, right? Or are we talking about the perception of people that we've been given over time? So if we're talking, and I had to come back to this because of what I said earlier about tell the North, give them up, and the South don't hold back. Because let's question this for a second, right? It made me think about Ashereth and the trees and things being cut down. And that makes me think about family trees. That makes me think about me. That makes me think about the earliest Americans, bloodlines, Akashic records, and that type of energy, right? Okay. The ones that would have met the colonizers at the borders. They would have been the first people entangled or or that would have grafted in with these people. That makes them no less American than anybody else, because the bloodline still streams back to the old world, Old Testament energy and prior to Genesis, basically. So again, there's the older text, the Sumerian, the new. I mean, we know how much other information is said to be older, but the way that I look at it, it all correlates and brings me back to what the truth is and what we should be doing now. Whenever I'm reading the text, it's just a gift or something I feel like I have, right? So again, that's going to go against many scholars that went and spent so much money to go to college and the narrative they've been teaching people for a very long time. When someone actually, when Source does something with the actual people on the plane to show, like you said, to bring their information to rubble and basically, show himself through his work, which is his people. Whether he had to form, create, you know what I'm saying? mold these people mentally within the temples, right? Your temples on your head, right? And give you your crown or your corona, right? So you can see, right? See, so it just make me wonder, what are we talking about here? Is that what we're talking about? And so now if you, because I had to think about Isaiah and how Isaiah, I can connect with what was being said, but I know that Isaiah was one of the ones that did not like the feminine warrior uh energy, the Ashereth energy. So again, this is also love and war. All right. The pen is mightier than the sword. Okay. And we're talking about also energies, like when using certain energies to love bomb or even take in women mentally, to love bomb them in order to distract them or get them off their toes. So again, we're talking about earth, we're talking land, right? So either your land or physically your own self could possibly be taken over by a certain entity or energy. So again, also we can look at this as, when you're taking that antidote and it has that serial number on there, what does it really represent? Who do you belong to? What specimen are you once you take those things? You know, because are people going to be categorized next? So we already doing mask, no mask, the poke, no poke. So again, is it going to be these people against those people? There's the three, right? Right? The three main, antidotes with the labels on them. So I'm just wondering how deep this goes. Okay. And again, if these are the elders, see, they want the older people to get it. But if you look at adults, right? Whatever percent of adults, we have to realize that when we're talking about these terms, that adult may be pertaining to the age, or the wine, the blood, the bloodline, right? How old the bloodline is, because the old bloodlines are back. The old gods are back. Some of you know that you have been here several times. Your records are opened up so you can go back into depth, right? So again, your older people are going to have wisdom. Your children are going to have dreams. And you know what I'm saying? We're at that time. So I am just wondering what is really going on with all of this. I know it seems like it's going off subject, but it's really not. Okay. So we have to realize that adult can also be talking about a certain group of people, like originy people. It doesn't only just mean a grown up in the household.